once you understand what reality is, once you understand what the body actually is in its base form, a waveform information field, think Wi-Fi, then the reasons for things happening in the world of the seen take on a completely different look, different reason for why it's happening. So just look at the body. The body is a waveform field, and it's vibrating, oscillating, right? Now, when that oscillation stops, that's what we call death of the body. But there is an optimum oscillation which expresses itself in the hologram as health, psychological health, quote, physical health. Anything that affects that oscillation in terms of its optimum state is going to have in the hologram, of which it is the information base, a problem. It's going to be a psychological problem, or it's going to be a quote, physical problem. And we are now being bombarded with technological frequencies, 5G is the new one, that are bombarding our oscillating waveform field with frequencies that are creating increasing disturbances within it. And therefore, we are seeing the, quote, physical health consequences of this electromagnetic soup that we're now living in, that is getting more dense all the time. And of course, the brain communicates and processes information through electricity and frequency. It communicates with the body electrically, and any frequencies that disturb the harmony of that processing are going to have bodily health and psychological effects. Now, 5G is a weapon. It's used by law enforcement in America and the military to scatter crowds. They fire a frequency from these big trucks at a crowd they want to disperse. And you see, the body is an antenna. DNA is an antenna. The skin is an antenna. We are antennas. That's what we are. We are interacting, receiving and transmitting frequencies of information all the time. And what happens with this 5G range crowd scattering technology is the skin picks it up and decodes it as the skin feeling as if it's on fire. And people run so that they get out of the frequency range so their skin doesn't seem as if it's burning. This is the stuff, this is the frequency range they want to smack out. Okay, it won't have that effect, all the time, of course not. But in less than that range of power, it will have enormous potential impact on people's health and on their psychological state. Because it doesn't go through dense objects very well, 5G, it means they want antenna boxes all the way down the streets pumping this out. And this is the other point. The goal, the end game, is what they call a smart grid. This is why all this technology, almost everything comes out now, not even just technology, but ways of doing things, is called smart. And whether it's a way of doing something, or whether it's technology, if it's got smart in it, they're all connected to this smart grid. And the smart grid is going to be, it's unfolding all the time, based on the internet. This is what the Internet of Things is all about. We're connecting all these technologies, everything basically, to the internet. This is all part of this smart grid. And the idea is, as people like Kurzweil at Google are openly saying. Why is he openly saying it? Because the sales pitch is if we allow our brains to be connected to artificial intelligence, we'll become superhuman. We won't. We'll become posthuman and subhuman. That's the idea. And he's openly saying that once the AI is connected to the brain, human thinking will do less and less, as we call human thinking, and AI will think more until human thinking as we know it is virtually negligible. We'll have been assimilated into AI, basically. That's the idea. And if people think that's far out, they don't understand the scale of psychopathy that we're dealing with in terms of the mindset behind all this, which, like I say, goes off planet. And out of this reality. So you have a situation where this smart grid is planned to be connected to the human brain for everything you call technology being connected to this grid, and for the grid to be driven, including the human mind, by artificial intelligence. And as I've said in my books, I keep hearing about artificial intelligence this, artificial intelligence that. I never hear anyone ask, what is artificial intelligence? What is it? And I'll give you a what if, and I say it's absolutely massively more than a what if. What if artificial intelligence, I'm not talking about algorithmic AI, I'm talking about the deep AI. What if that level of AI was this non-human force? Connecting AI to the human brain becomes the vehicle for that force to literally assimilate the human mind, collectively and individually. I say that's what's happening. But I'm mad, so, just go and make a cup of tea. But this is the idea, this grid. And the idea is that everything is connected to this grid. Now, if you're going to do that, this grid communication system has to cover every inch of the planet, bar none. What's the only way you can do that? From satellite. And here we have now Elon Musk. He's been on the Rogan show. I don't know why Rogan won't have me on when I talk about all the subjects that he talks about and more, or he discusses in his interviews and more. And I don't understand why RT won't have me on when I've been discussing all the stories they talk about for decades. I was interviewed by RT, very quickly, I was interviewed by RT out of nowhere. They came along and said, we want to talk to you. So I talked to them for about 2 hours. They were very nice. And they said, we're going to run it in about 2 days. We're aiming for 2 days. It was 2.5 months ago. Never seen the light of day. So maybe it will one day. But you see what I mean? There's a line, if you cross it, then a postage stamp line. Some people might have a wider postage stamp line, but there's still a line. And if you cross that, then I'm not having him on, that sort of thing. But what I was saying is Elon Musk, he's the man that said AI could be the end of humanity, if you remember. Well, he then created a company called Neuralink to connect the human brain to computers. And he's the one who is sending up with his SpaceX operation the satellites that are beaming Wi-Fi and 5G back at the Earth to create the all-encompassing web on which AI control of humanity is dependent. And the reason that they're rolling out 5G so fast without testing, without independent testing, and they've admitted that, they've spent no money on independent testing. The reason they're doing it is because this smart grid to work has to have at least 5G level of communication power. It's essential. So if you had independent research, some people have done it, not through the industry, but themselves, and found, oh my God, this is absolutely lethal. The reason they're not doing it officially is because if people knew what 5G was and what it could do, then, people, the public as a whole, they would, there would be a riot. And so they want to keep that from people. so that this smart grid can happen. Because without 5G or higher, and in China they're talking about 6G now, this smart grid can't work.